Hi, I'm Nick Bauer, and I'm a environmental engineer. In my job, I deal a lot with environmental regulation, compliance, things like that with public-private clients. What that means is we'll go to different sites, we'll do things like phase one investigations, phase two site assessments, remediations. So, generally with a phase one, we'll go into a non-intrusive historical background, site reconnaissance, things like that. And we'll find out areas of potential environmental concern and go from there into what you call a phase two in my business. And what that entails is a more intrusive investigation. We'll do things like drilling, and really what that involves is assessing soil, groundwater, and air quality for sites, for facilities, things like that. And then what comes out of that is we address environmental concerns for the site. So the next step could potentially be a remedial investigation, in which case we pretty much clean up the site. So generally, as an overview, that's really what it entails. For me, moving up through the company, you generally get into a little bit more project management, and then go from there. So there was always a part of the engineering environmental stream that appealed to me, in that, especially in this day and age, we have, a lot of focus on the environment. You can't hide from it. And, it was a great opportunity to me, in my mind, to actually make a difference. And, not in the cheesy way, but, play that small part in moving the gears in the right direction. In my job, I see this all the time, in that, the things that people have done in the past, the disregard for, the environment has actually lent us to now be in the place we're at. And, without it, my job, I wouldn't have it. So there is that side of it, but changing it for the better is definitely something that appealed to me, and it still does today. You can have an idea about something, and life can jade you, and there's enough of that out there that sometimes you do get that, and you see it, and you go, oh, geez, like, I'm not making as much of a difference as I thought I was, or it's not what I thought it would be. But these regulations, these environmental regulations, these rules, these laws, these bylaws are all in place to spur a healthier, greener, more environmentally sustainable future. And to me, if we are the officers of that, then, somebody's being held accountable, and we're moving forward and making it better.